here, so we're gonna see what people had to say. So, a little rainy and cold today after 90-degree weather last week. 40s today, so, and I took a day off from work to do this, so let's see how it goes. Excuse me.
My daughter is 10,000 there.
Yeah. No, good.
And so Bob walked up to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know him.
Where's
So I didn't know if you've been there.
There's a public comment sign in
They
the
had like, what they have.
front table there.
Yeah, right here. I haven't been right here. We're actually just like, that's normally against the wall, I guess I didn't even know that sign had labels on it.
It actually fits in well with our financial.
I'll fix that.
Online too, because we always try to put like.
Yeah, my kid, um,
I think all the time in the military, I remember to have a pen on me at all times.
It's no different than like,
And a notepad.
yeah, so hi. Morning, Robbie. How are you?
Very good.
Good.
Grace got your cards, Rodney. Make sure that Grace got that.
What?
I made sure that Grace got your cards.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
How you doing? I want to give you credit, which I don't do like, for being on your staff. Yeah. And telling them a lot. Okay. Yeah, yeah. It's
Thank you.
right? And then without. I don't, and I have some.
Absolutely, that's,
You did it? No. You know, I don't know if you saw, but I said. I think so. Tough. You know, yeah. Jason would be
Wow. So we're going to.
get the opportunity very often.
If you want, I will reach out to you when we're ready for you guys.
In person. So I do appreciate the fact that you got a hold of him and said, hey, let's fix this, so. And I actually checked. because I had a couple-
Well, I'm just thinking that we have a little side in that class, but
But, I'd have to look more, so you need to check that and see if they got other people watching.
we gotta get
You really
you.
shouldn't.
I don't think yours do anything.
No, it's,
And we do
Oh, so we just discovered that I never took your name out of the side of
there's a huge, there's a lot of gray area coming in. Right? But, yeah, I try to keep myself from personal, and I know when it happens, and I can understand it. But that's what bothers me about it. I literally told him something I was wrong. And we'll make that happen.
No, I try to get.
That's what I've been trying to say is we're at a point where it's, we're looking at processes. No, because we.
You got criticized by staff?
No. Like 30 years ago. Yeah. Less than 30 years. Unintentional.
Yep.
At work. And then you get.
No, I understand that, yeah.
So we easily do it. No. Yeah.
Were you riding with him?
no, I don't ride with people. I do. I need to be in a car by myself, it's, you know, it's the only
You
one.
and her were the same distance out, so I didn't know.
No,
In the rain and the wind, you get tired 2 hours here.
oh, yeah.
You're drove through that same stuff on the way back from Wyoming, and it was snow over by Sundance, Wyoming, up in the mountains, and then once you got down in the flats, it was raining the entire way back, and about 40 mile an hour wind. It was like, long 9-hour drive.
That was put in the wrong mailbox. Yeah, do you know how to get that?
No.
It's 9 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order, please join us for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, all the commissioners are present today. Our first item is to approve the agenda. Are there any additions or changes?
Madam Chair, I'll move on the agenda as
We have a motion and to approve it. We have a motion by Springer, seconded by Powers to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Our next item is staff updates.
The only update I have is the board is aware that the city of Plainview and the developer for the parcel on County Road 4 is requesting a meeting with some of the commissioners and our county engineer and some of the individuals from the development that are their access permit denied. I want to bring that to the board for its consideration. Do you want to participate in those meetings? If so, who's going to be involved? What the purpose of the meeting is going to be? The reason why I ask is the board is aware, typically when the county has a threat of litigation that is made against it, the advice from council is to cease those communications, notify MCIT, etc. I've notified MCIT of the concern that was raised at our last board meeting, at the county board's last meeting. So typically, that's not a meeting that we participate in, but I know some of the commissioners had had individuals reach out to them, so I want to bring it up to the board for its consideration.
has MCIT weighed in as whether they want us to have this meeting? I think that's where we should start.
MCIT doesn't provide legal advice. They indicated that from their cursory review, of course, they never give you a final answer, that they would view this as a land use decision, and that coverage would be provided on that. I'm just going based on our past practice when we've had other threats. Typically, and the board has had some of our attorneys here in the past have indicated when we have received those, to take those seriously and to cease that communication unless it's through an attorney.
Well, I received a couple and a text this morning on that, and I just wish that their engineer and our engineer could get in the same room and discuss this and come to a resolution instead of this email back and forth, so.
So would you like me to try to have them set up a meeting with the
I would.
engineers?
I would. And whether a commissioner wants to be involved,
I mean, it doesn't hurt, I guess, to listen to them. But when if we start, having conversations, then attorneys don't care for that if we are potentially in a litigation situation.
Between the engineers, they could probably at least discuss it, like you said.
just sit down on the table instead of email.
Email back and forth, yeah.
Because I'm missing this.
You could discuss it a lot easier, you could say. I certainly could.
If there's still a disagreement, how would you like us to move forward with this? Because theoretically, we've had these types of situations where a developer wants it a specific way, It doesn't matter what the engineers might have to say, what comes down to the developer's intention. If there's not an agreement that's reached in that situation, how would you like us to move forward?
I don't foresee an agreement resulting from a meeting. But what the next steps are, I don't know. Our engineer gave a recommendation, and I understand
So
why.
MCIT would defend it, but they wouldn't give recommendations on how to avoid. You know what I'm saying? I think we should ask them again.
Certainly can, they usually wait until there's a formal action that is taken,
Okay.
like an appeal or litigation on that.
So they would have to take the formal action, the developer.
For
Maybe
MCIT to
they're
be
just trying
discharged.
to avoid all that with this meeting.
Could be, absolutely.
I'm not opposed to sitting in on that, but I understand concerns of that as well.
Well, if you guys, the engineers and yourself and Bob, wanna sit in on, just to hear what they have to say, I mean, maybe there's other solutions that, or options that could be addressed.
Okay. At this point, I will get back to the city of Plainview again and acknowledge that we want to have a meeting, that they'd be to take in information, and that we should have the engineers be able to try to come to an agreement on that. And if there is no agreement, then we would have to be looking at, other steps that have to take then. So, okay.
Let's keep with the board, I'm gonna skip the administrative update for right now and go to public forum since, we're supposed to go into a closed session at 9:10, and we have a couple people who have signed up for the public forum. So they don't have to wait around.
Sounds good. We have a Robert Johnson who signed up for HHS licensing. Good morning.
Yes, sir. You want to sit or stand?
Go ahead. It's whatever works for you.
My name's Robert Johnson. I don't live in your guys' district. I've been working with some of your guys' constituents on some concerns. A little bit about me, my background, I did 10 years in the military as aviation med tech, mainly focusing on regulatory compliance. During that time, my wife had a daycare in multiple states, and we also had to follow the military guidance as well, which was a little bit stricter. After I got out, I worked in group homes, done anything from that to bus driving, and then I also managed a group home that had to be licensed. Some of my concerns that I found reviewing some of the items of concern that have been brought to me is there seems to be a disconnect, and I'm not sure where it's at, if it's at the state level or if it's at the local level. It seems to be statewide issue of the dual jurisdiction of the CPS or the licensing side of it, because that falls under the administrative rules, and a lot of times, like your local rules, and then also the law enforcement side of it. 'Cause if you get like a maltreatment complaint, and the officers go in there, they're acting as both helping out with the civil investigation, but then also possibly the criminal. On the criminal side though, in order to have that evidence entered, you would need a warrant other than the exigent circumstance. So if you're expanding it beyond that exigent circumstance, you would need a warrant for that. And that seems to be a disconnect pretty much across the state where those lines have blurred often, where it's claimed that, oh no, it's CPS, but then there's law enforcement involved, looking at possible charges. Well, if they're investigating criminally, they need to have a warrant for that. They can't just use a civil excuse. And then on the opposite side of that, they can't withhold civil evidence for a defense, saying, oh, well, there's ongoing criminal stuff, if that criminal issue has already been decided. And that's one of the issues that I have seen. And then the second thing is that the counties aren't required to have the social workers be licensed, or the licensors to be licensed. And if they're in the civilian world, like if you go out to a civilian mental health or whatever else, they have to be licensed social workers. The thing with that licensure is that it provides a layer of protection almost for you guys, because there's less liability because they're licensed, and there's a licensing board, there's requirements for that. Just like for CDL, you have to have a license to drive a CDL, or to be an attorney, you have to have a license and that type of thing. And I'm not sure if the county can make it stricter or not. I know at the state level, they don't require it for the county personnel. And that leaves a lot of room for discretion. And if there's not proper oversight, then that discretion, just like in law enforcement, can sometimes go beyond the bounds of what they're supposed to do, or even the Constitution. Because like with the Constitution, it's equal application of the law, you know? You can't just treat, you know, this person different from that person without like a justification. And then there is a little bit of discretion there, but if they're just going off and treating certain people specially, like they're one of the licensees for the county that I found haven't had a annual inspection in 3 years. And then all of a sudden, 9 months later, they supposedly done one in 2024. Well, there's a question on that, especially when they're related to possibly one of the officers who is out there doing some of these investigations. Because the person has the same last name. It looks like there might be a conflict of interest. So that's pretty much all I have on that. Do you guys have any questions for me? And if you like, I can follow up with the recommendations and that I have, because it's just, there's some liability stuff that you guys can take care of on your side to make you guys less liable. And if we can fix the process for the future, that'd be awesome, knowing that there possibly been some errors in the past. But how do we make it better? You know what I mean? Because with the licensors, if they're not properly trained and they're going out there, and you're expecting them to, they're your guys' employees, you're expecting them to know what they're doing. And if they're not, or they're making it up as they go, it doesn't really help you guys or the licensees, because I'm pretty sure you guys want daycare in your county, you guys want the foster care and stuff like that. Well then, you know, there needs to be the proper oversight, because the bonded individual that they fall under would be liable under the bonds if they mess up, if they're not licensed, or if they're not individually bonded. So, you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more individual signed up for the
Yes.
public forum. We do also have a closed session that we're supposed to be entering into, but appreciate it, and thank you for your feedback.
I wanna, actually, I never get to sit like this. I wanna start off by thanking the sheriff. I don't do that very often, and I told him that personally. I'm pretty critical of government. And
Can you please tell us your name?
I'm TC, so, and I'm not from the county, but I have been working.
TC.
I just go by TC, so, yeah. But I had an issue a while back, and I was blocked by the sheriff's office on social media, and I said something and the sheriff fixed it right away. And I wanted to start off with that one as a compliment. That's customer service, that's taking care of your responsibility. And at no point should any government entity ever be in the business of not doing that. And so, thank you, Sheriff. The other aspect that I want to talk to is, and for lack of better terminology, is an apparent inability on the part of some people within your county, in particular the county attorney, to communicate decently and properly and in a timely fashion.
Oh, no, hey.
And if so, let's get that started.
Hey guys, I don't know what happened. So, we were in session speaking, and feed must have died, but we got it back. So here we are. I hope you guys could hear my comments, and I got video of Pam having a brief conversation with Stinson, the attorney, and we'll go from here. They're in closed session now, which can last anywhere from a half an hour to 45 minutes. So I'm not going to go back in. But if you guys didn't hear my comments, then I will be pulling it off of their YouTube channel when it's done, which it's probably about done now. So yeah, I don't know what happened. We lost feed for a while. So anywho, Well, here, let's do this actually. So we don't get this very often. You got Marcy in person, and you guys know Marcy because she's been on, and then Pam's here. Say hi, Pam, without yelling at anybody.
No, I have to
So-
renew my actual file.
So yeah, I had to follow Pam because Pam, against council,
It's not like,
had a partially off the record conversation with the county attorney,
for my main one, yeah.
and Pam knows better, don't you, Pam?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, we're never going to do that again, are we, Pam?
No, we're not, but I
And
feel
we're-
a little better.
And we're going to keep our calm, aren't we, Pam?
That I can't
Pam.
promise.
Snuck off, but she snuck
She
off
snuck
on
off.
me. I
She's-
tried, I was trying.
Here's my Zoom.
We're going to keep our calm next time.
Fine, fine.
Not
I'll
fine,
be
yeah,
good.
say yes.
I'll be
Say
good.
yes. So, we're gonna have to go back and off to see how much of my comments were actually captured. If it's not captured, then we will pull it down off of their YouTube if they let it go through, because I was pretty pointed with some of the stuff that I said, so this is why we do what we do. And there might be a stop yet today in another live stream at the Plainview PD. So I haven't told them that till now, but I might be stopping at the Plainview PD to have a conversation with Chief Tim. But we're not going to say anything too loud about that because they're looky-loos and ear. Until next time, guys, Sic Semper, Tyrannis.